Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today, once again, by popular demand, we have a special guest in the studio. It's JJ from Asus. How you doing, JJ?
I'm doing all right. As always, thank you for having me.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming in. We have you here for a special treat for all you viewers at home because we're going to talk about the Asus mainstream series of Z97 motherboards. So let's start off a little high level, give folks a bit of an idea of what they're getting into here with Z97. First off, I would say what CPU series is Z97 designed for, and what is the sort of push for Asus when it comes to the mainstream series of boards? Who are they designed for?
So that's two great questions, two easy answers. First and foremost, it's pretty much targeted at all your current fourth generation CPUs that are out in the market. So if it's a Haswell-based CPU, it's going to work in this series of motherboards. Specifically, we're going to first be talking about our Pro board, but across all of the Z97 series, all of them are going to be compatible for the K and the non-K parts. Okay. In addition to that, they will also fully support the upcoming Devil's Canyon-based CPUs as well.
Excellent. So you've got Haswell right now. We got the Haswell Refresh, as it's been called. Still fourth generation core processors, but you're going to have support for pretty much all of the processors that are available now or are coming out that very soon.
That's correct.
All right.
Now, in addition to your second question, if we go ahead and just give some context behind what the mainstream series is targeted at, really it's kind of our kind of pursuit at being able to design boards that meet the most level of flexibility regardless of the usage model. So whether you're somebody that's going to be building a gaming system, whether it's going to be somebody that's building a content creation oriented system, everyday productivity, maybe a mix and match of different types of those usage models, you know, maybe more media centric, we try to design the functionality and the feature set to really be able to complement every single type of user. And of course, as you get into some of our other segmentational series boards, the feature set becomes even a little bit more finite and focused, you know, towards that specific usage model. But with the mainstream series, really our goal is to kind of give you unquestionably a great board with great feature set, great reliability, and great stability.
Excellent. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, because I know you folks at Asus have been very forthright about this in the past, is when it comes to speed, specifically just talk about how fast everything is, you're not going to see a huge amount of variance between the boards. In fact, almost next to none. So really, I feel like what you guys have tried to do with your mainstream series of boards, as well as some of the other series, such as the TUF series and the ROG series, is differentiate the boards by feature set and sort of the extra special sauce that Asus likes to drop into the mix.
100% right, and that hasn't changed for this generation. As you know, things have gotten tighter and tighter, more integration to the CPU, and the way that just everything is designed, a lot more plays into, let's say, overclocking in terms of perspective of the quality of the cooling, the quality of the CPU margin that you have. I mean, definitely the motherboard, the auto rules, and a lot of aspects can still define the type of overclocking experience. Not just the overclocking result, but the experience can vary greatly between different motherboards. And for us, we definitely feel that we're giving you the best overclocking experience possible, whether it's manually or whether it's through, you know, auto overclocking that we'll talk in more when we look at the board. But as a whole, for sure, whether you're looking at our Z97-A, the Pro, the Deluxe, you know, the Maximus 6.0 or the Z97 Sabertooth, it doesn't matter. All of them are all going to be able to overclock to the same degree, whether it's 4.6, 4.7, 4.8 gigahertz plus, high memory dividers, that's going to be a given. The differentiation, like you said, comes into play into aspects like key feature set, functionality that the board might have, expansion in terms of I/O, as well as from a performance standpoint, sometimes like thermal efficiency, you're going to get maybe more robust VRM heat sinks, maybe better quality power components, so the overall maybe thermal stability of the platform is going to be a little bit better on a higher end board than it would be on a lower end board, but it doesn't fundamentally mean that both boards can achieve the same result, just might be that one's going to run it a little bit more efficiently, a little bit cooler than the other board.
Excellent. Now next up, we want to give you guys a close-up look at several of the boards in this series. By no means is this all of the boards in the mainstream series, but it is a few very, very nice ones. And let's start off with the one right over on the right there, which is the Z97 Pro, which does include Wi-Fi as well. So let's go ahead and bring that over here to the center so we can give you guys a nice look. And so for starters, since it's kind of the first thing that you see, different sort of design aesthetic here. Still the gold, but perhaps a little bit more subdued?
I'd say refined is, I think, what we've done. Yes. Refined and evolved. You know, I think we've continued to look at kind of the feedback from the community, and the feedback from the community was actually, it was a big color change. But, you know, we've seen over time that people have begun to embrace it more. We've seen more components come out there. And, of course, the natural complement to black really fits well in pretty much any type of build because it's black and gold is a great contrast. Definitely. And to be able to kind of just streamline that look and feel more and give a little bit more, I think, of a premium kind of clean, stylized look to it. We've gone with an almost monochromatic accent color scheme. So we have dark gray and black. So you see that everywhere from the DRAM to the serial ATA to the PCIe, that is all using a secondary and tertiary complementary color set of dark gray and black. And we've gone ahead and gone with a softer gold, which actually sometimes, depending on the light properties and how it shifts, it almost takes on a soft kind of pewter look, a little bit of almost a silver look. So I think it looks really clean, really stylized, and I think for you guys that are going to be building new systems, I think that it's overall a really great looking board. It's going to look great in any number of different types of configurations.
Excellent. So a very nice update to the design aesthetic. Let's talk about functionality though. What would be your #1 favorite new feature from the Z97 boards?
You know, we've done this a lot, and that's always really hard for me to call out when I talk about #1 new feature.
Gotta give you the hard questions, though.
But you know, the last generation we introduced our 4-way optimization technology, which I think a lot of people, you know, like always in the past when we've talked about our auto overclocking implementations or things that are automatic, there was always that precursor of thinking things like that usually aren't reliable, they don't work well, and they're not solid. And we've really broken that convention of showing you guys that you can have really great experience with automated utilities. For this generation, I think what we've done with 5-way optimization now is really impressive. So 5-way, of course, includes multiple pieces of functionality in Fan Expert 3, our new auto tuning suite, and a brand new function called app tuning, and a lot more that's part of that. But I think the 5-way optimization functionality that's going to be on the mainstream series, including this Pro board, is really awesome. So I guess diving into some of those pieces, first and foremost, if we just take a look here at the board, you know, we've of course got the primary VRM heat sinks, and here you're going to comfortably be able to ensure that regardless of whether you're running at stock or overclock, you get great thermal efficiency, and you're going to have solid temperature performance. You don't have to worry about that. Now, just like in previous generations, we're always looking at giving you very good power quality componentry, and that hasn't changed for this generation. Actually, we've improved it a bit from even the previous generation. If you remember, previously we had a lot of the boards pretty much all featuring 5K rated capacitors. For this generation, it's actually been updated to 10K. So before, we used to only offer the 10K on the Sabertooth series as well as on the ROG series of motherboards. So now even the Pro steps up to 10K rated capacitors, while still also featuring those really nice high performance fully molded alloy inductors. So great power delivery. Now, the power delivery ties though into that auto overclocking technology. Now we're going to have a separate video, and you guys definitely want to check out the auto tuning video that we're going to talk about with 5-way optimization. But the big thing to just keep in mind is that this auto overclocking technology dynamically tunes your CPU based on its margin, based on a fixed voltage to be able to ensure solid thermal performance, as well as not overtly aggressively driving extra voltage to your CPU, specific to your cooler, your power supply, even your memory. But for this generation, we've given you a whole lot of control to be able to go and be able to even define your own target frequency. You can auto overclock based on temperature target. You can actually manually define the actual intervals for how the tuning process takes as far as how long it runs. We've incorporated multi-threaded stress testing into the memory algorithm. So now we simultaneously can test both CPU and memory, and we've done a whole lot more. And definitely, I think when you guys check out the video, you're going to see unquestionably some of the most impressive types of flexibility when it comes to auto overclocking that has ever been done. So it's really awesome that this board is going to give you that level of control and flexibility when tuning. Very
nice. So automatic overclocking, just one of the features, and I know that was something that I had a great time playing with the Z87 Pro.
Yeah, and extending beyond that, though, we always try to placate certain functionality for users that are also maybe a little bit more novice. Now, personally, I think the auto tuning technology is really simple. It's just you installing the software and then clicking a button, and then that works, of course, with our hardware and our firmware-based designs. But we still maintain some hardware-based switches, and we've evolved them for this generation. So in Z87, we had 2 switches, the TPU and the EPU switch. Those are the same, where we have a 2-stage TPU. So one will do multiplier-based adjustment, and then the secondary one will do multiplier and BCLK-based adjustment. And then the EPU switch is the opposite. It doesn't affect performance, but it will undervolt the CPU. So it gives you a little bit lower power consumption, a little bit lower low temperatures. So depending on how you want to run your system, either towards efficiency and power consumption, or whether you want to run it towards better performance, if you don't want to have to configure anything, install anything, or do anything, you can just flip those switches when you're first getting started. Now, another thing that we have also incorporated for this generation is going to be this switch right up here, and that's an easy Xmp switch. So if you remember in the last generation, we made an easy Xmp switch within the UEFI, so it was a single touch option to be able to just easily turn on Xmp. Well, we've done that now on a hardware level with the switch. So for you guys that just want to run stock, but once again, want to just be able to quickly make sure that you're actually running your Xmp profile, which our overall analysis of the market shows that close to 50% of users that buy their memory right now don't ever even enable the Xmp value. They're running non-XMP enabled systems.
Enable XMP, guys.
But now it's even easier, right? They can literally just flip a switch, and when they turn on the system, it'll automatically enable that XMP profile.
Very nice.
So moving...
just a quick question, would that also enable you to disable the XMP by just turning it off?
Yes, it would actually allow you to go ahead and to revert back to a normal function. Okay. But ideally, because you have what's called memory training policies that occur when you either enable or revert memory values, you usually would want to clear the board in terms of like a clear CMOS to ensure that you're getting the best kind of baseline profiles for the board. Okay. So normally I wouldn't, if you're not going to run XMP for some reason, you should just be in the off position. So it should really be used more for an enabling function than to kind of disable XMP. Okay. Right. So another function that we had that we've talked about for quite a number of generations and that we've kept refining over years has been our fan expert fan control functionality. So if you remember in the last generation, we talked about that every single header, this board has 6 4-pin PWM fan headers. We gave you the ability to control 3-pin and 4-pin fans. And so that was pretty much the best in the industry. No other vendor was giving you that level of control across every single header to control 3-pin and 4-pin. Then you added in the ability that in the UEFI we could manually set all the values of operation for manual target temperature and manual fan speed. And then in the UEFI we even had automatic fan calibration. So every single header we could tune it to its minimum or maximum. Okay. For this generation though, we've taken it up to a really impressive degree of functionality. Each one of these headers, we now give you the ability to control the output signal. And what we mean by that is that you can either set it to be DC mode or PWM mode. So if you're familiar with what this allows us to do is with PWM we can send out the fan control signal. And with the fan control signal, this will allow you to go ahead and use something like what I have right here, which is going to be this, this is just a fan splitter cable. And the great thing about having something like this is the board has 6 fan headers, right? But what happens if you have a chassis that has 7, 8, 9 fans, right? Well, the board only has 6, so you're limited, right? But now I can go ahead and maybe say plug this into, you know, this chassis fan header that's over here, set it to PWM output, and then I can go ahead and have 3 more fans connected to this that all receive the same exact control signal. So this is an impressive degree of functionality that once again really is not going to be seen on any other type of competitor solution. Very nice. But we've gone ahead and even made it better. We've also added the ability, excuse me, to assign temperature inputs to different headers. Okay. So traditionally, all these headers are usually responding to CPU temperature, but that might not always be actually what you want to do. So what we've gone now is giving you the ability to assign different temperature inputs to different headers. So you can, let's say, on this chassis fan header, you could have that respond to the VRM temperature. And maybe for this chassis fan header or this chassis fan header down here, you could have it respond to the PCH temperature. And we even have an optional temp sensor header that's on the board that you can actually plug a diode into, and then you could put that on the back of your GPU or on top of your SSD or wherever you want. And that can also be a temperature point that the actual fan header can respond to.
So depending on the size of your chassis, you can theoretically set up different zones with a group of fans, you know, dedicated like to the PCH, like you said, or CPU, wherever you want that to be, and have those fans dynamically ramp up or down based on the temperature of a specific component on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really just extensive level of control that it's extremely impressive that you're going to have accessible to you in this price band of a motherboard to be able to have this type of fan control functionality, which has never really been done before on this scale, to be able to give you the ability to have DC and PWM output, every single header be manually controlled. You know, having all those functions and features are impressive. And for this generation, we've also even implemented automatic fan calibration and graphical fan tuning inside the UEFI. Okay. So if you don't want to even run our fan calibration in the operating system, you can now do it directly within the UEFI environment, as well as you can manually assign a fan curve as far as just going in there and easily adjusting it to whatever profile slope you want. Very
nice. And we're looking at the Z97 Pro here. Does that functionality trickle down to all?
Yeah, even our entry-level Z97-A also features this same class of fan control functionality, so beautiful. Really impressive. Right. So moving beyond that, if we take a look at one of the other big features here is going to be the isolated sound design. Okay. So historically, we've only offered the isolated sound design on our ROG series of motherboards, but this generation, we're introducing it into our mainstream series. And so you can see here, this pretty much is just doing what we've traditionally done, which is isolating this entire section from the rest of the motherboard. What this is ultimately helping us to do is ensure the quality and the performance of that actual codec. What some people don't get is that regardless that it's a digital controller, is that you have interference and other factors that influence the actual output signal quality of that actual codec. And so what we're trying to strive to do is actually have it rated at its specification and operate at that rated specification. But some cool things that we've done here, because this is all the same that we've done, is isolate it, put a shield on it, give you those Nichicon audio grade capacitors, and have, of course, an operational amplifier. But we've taken it further to be able to give you guys a really awesome experience. One of the things that we did is we co-worked with the DTS group. And so with the DTS group, we created actually customized EQs and profiles for different types of headphones, over-the-ear headphones, as well as desktop speakers. So what'll happen is actually when you plug in your headphones, whether it's going to be to the front headphone or to the back line out, you'll actually have a little 3-stage icon that will come up. And either you can pick in-ear monitors, you can pick over-the-ear headphones, or you can pick your standard desktop speakers. And whichever one you will select will now have an optimized waveform that's specifically calibrated for that type of playback or monitor device.
Nice.
In addition to that, we also have customized presets that we worked with the DTS group specifically for music, movies, and games. So this also gets taken further into an app tuning function that we'll show you once again when we talk about our demo. But we're going to be able to dynamically profile any game to be able to link into those audio profiles. So as an example of this, when we talked about 5-way optimization, the app tuning function is going to allow us to assign application-specific overclocks to any program that you open, and also manually assign its network prioritization as well as its audio preset. So you can imagine going from just checking out email or maybe checking out the latest Newegg YouTube video, right? Jumping into Battlefield 4 and having Battlefield 4 all of a sudden overclock to 4.6 gigahertz, automatically set your network priority to high for Battlefield 4, and then automatically set the sound profile to game.
Very nice.
And you could control that functionality within our 5-way optimization suite as part of our app tuning function.
Now, one very important question here, JJ. Does it light up?
Actually, it does not light up.
It does not? Okay, I wanted to clarify that because the red line functionality, like you mentioned, that came over from the ROG series has the aesthetic bling in there as well.
Yes.
But with the mainstream series, that actually might be something that people aren't necessarily looking forward to.
You know, I think we would love to have it, you know, but there's always the balance of cost as well, you know, as far as just adding those a couple additional LEDs. But at the end of the day, we want to give you, of course, the quality, but we strive to definitely to try to improve upon that.
And it does have the separation layer there, so if you really wanted to, you could probably put an LED maybe behind it.
Yeah, maybe like a little light strip, exactly,
Yeah,
you know, some maybe some Antec bias lighting, BitPhoenix makes them too, you can get some different ones there.
It allows for customization.
Definitely.
Okay.
Speaking on networking, we still, of course, maintain the Intel Gigabit Ethernet controller, which we feel is really the industry-leading controller in terms of its compatibility, performance, as well as management. Not a lot of people talk about it, but the Intel Pro Set has a crazy number of options to really allow you to fine-tune and maximize performance. But one thing we've done for this generation is we incorporated a new software program for packet priority control. We're actually using a new program called TurboLAN, and that TurboLAN actually uses a backend that was the same software that we used previously on ROG from CFOS. The big advantage that we have for this generation is that the packet priority control isn't just applicable to the Intel network controller, but it also can apply to the integrated 82.11 AC with Bluetooth wireless controller.
Okay.
So that means you can do packet priority control for either one of those, and even if, let's say, you maybe upgrade later on to like a 3x3 PCIe wireless card, or maybe a higher performing USB AC solution, then you could also go ahead and map it to that network controller. So as compared to, let's say, something like a killer solution, it gives you the flexibility that can be mapped to any controller. It doesn't matter.
Now, one element that I know we can't go without speaking of, I know we have a couple other boards to talk about, but the storage options and the storage configurations have changed or provided some other potential storage, high-speed storage is what I'm trying to get at here.
You know, our focus always at Asus is to try to give as much flexibility as possible for you guys when you're setting up a system. So we've gone ahead and pretty much decked out the board to give you all the types of connection options that could really be afforded. So as of right now, if you take a look at the board, you're going to have Serial ATA Express. So Serial ATA Express is a newer standard. It doesn't necessarily replace SATA. It will concurrently exist at the same time, but it will offer much higher throughput. But if you're not using a SATA Express-based device, then these two ports will serve as standard SATA 6G ports.
Okay. So
you can use a regular SATA 6G SSD or mechanical hard drive on it without any issues. You then have, of course, 4 more ports from the PCH, and then we have 2 ports from an AS Media 1061 add-in controller.
Okay.
But directly next to that, though, then we also give you even more storage flexibility with an M.2 based connection. So M.2, for you guys that aren't familiar, is some people still refer to it by its legacy name, which is NGFF, or Next Generation Form Factor. And it's just for specialized high-speed SSD-based solutions. Now, our design implementation will allow for either SATA M.2 based devices or PCIe M.2 devices. Okay. So you do want to keep that in mind, guys, that there are clearly two differences. SATA M.2 devices are essentially going to perform exactly the same as a normal 2.5-inch SSD, while PCIe will generally be faster depending on the controller, and of course its architecture and its design could perform much faster than a standard base 2.5-inch SSD.
Okay.
So with that, I don't know if maybe we want to show them here something quickly that we're going to be coming out with.
Sure. So here's a Sata Express cable.
So that's exactly the cable, and then right next to that we have the Hyper Express Duo, which this will be a little accessory that if you guys want to utilize it will be coming very soon. You'll be able to get it here at Newegg, which when you open it up will actually allow you to put in your own either 2 mSATA or 2 M.2 based drives. It will then hardware RAID them, and in that single volume, then of course you will exceed the saturation that's allowed normally through a single SATA 6G port. So it's essentially kind of like doing RAID on the PCH, but you could directly take advantage of the SATA Express port. So that'll be something that we'll be coming out with. So if you guys want to be able to take advantage of SATA Express, then you guys will have something available. And
the reason you guys went with this this type of solution here is because SATA Express drives really are somewhat non-existent.
Yeah, as of right now, there is no actual SATA Express-based solutions. Just like M.2, they're fairly new in terms of being out from the marketplace. So this is very future-proof in terms of having a board that's going to give you all types of connectivity, and this is just our way of allowing you guys that if you want to be able to jump right on the bandwagon and be able to have something super high speed and really easy to be able to work with, you can just go ahead and pop in your own base storage and be good to go.
Very nice. So SATA Express available right there through the Hyper Express enclosure here by Asus, and then of course the M.2 port is also there, and M.2 drives are a little bit more common, just slightly.
Yeah, I still think right now you're going to, that's the reason why we're going to do both mSATA and M.2, because right now you can still even get a little bit more mSATA than you can get M.2 base drives. Okay. So we'll be able to do both. So there's definitely even a lot more on here, such as, functions like we have like USB 3 boost and USB charger plus, but there's some stuff that you can't see. So wrapping this up, I do want to definitely reinforce to you guys, when you look at an Asus board, there's going to be a lot of things that you don't necessarily always see, but help to give you guys even a better experience. Some of it's going to sometimes come through accessory hardware support like we have there with the Hyper Express. Other times it's going to be through an add-in card, like all the Asus Z97 boards will offer, of course, Thunderbolt EX2 card support. So that means that you can just go ahead and drop in this little card, and if you want to be able to have Thunderbolt 2 connectivity and performance, you can do that as easy by go ahead and installing in that card. Very nice. We're also going to continue to offer the Nfc Express box. So we've made even further updates for this generation. So with this guy, this will allow you to do things like automatically quickly log into your system, so you don't have to enter in your login, your password. You can quick launch applications like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 programs at a time by just quick launching and having the programs aside, so that when you pass over either the fob or your NFC device, it quick launches in. Or you can even do things like automatically transfer photos, as well as now we're also doing video streaming and even Bluetooth pushing. So by video streaming, that means you can take a video that's playing on your mobile device and just set it on there, and it will start then playing back on your system. Nice. Bluetooth streaming will work in the same way. Let's say maybe you're listening to some music and you want to go ahead and now start listening to that on your desktop. You can essentially pair them, and it will pass the Bluetooth audio signal through and will then play back on your desktop speakers. Very so nice. It's a really awesome level of functionality we've introduced, and we're maintaining on all Asus Z97 SKUs will offer this ability to be able to use the Nfc Express box. And lastly, we've even got another box, Qi wireless charging. So if you guys have a phone that supports wireless charging, or you check out a Newegg, and Newegg actually even carries some of the Qi wireless charging add-in strips, where if you've got a phone, even if it doesn't have it, you can buy a strip for sometimes like about like $5 to $10. You insert it into your back plane on your phone, and then all of a sudden it becomes a wirelessly charge-enabled phone. You can go ahead and have that. So when you take a look at that level of functionality, really awesome. And from the software side, there's going to be things that really, guys, recommend check out the demo video, because we're going to show things like Media Streamer, which is going to give you the ability to remotely play back your music, movies, pictures, intranet and extranet. So even if you're outside your home, if you've got a cellular Wi-Fi connection, you can access your content, you can stream it. We're going to have push alert service. That's going to be able to give you the ability to receive notifications from your system, once again, either in the intranet or extranet environment, on whether your voltages, your fan speed, or your temperatures have an issue. So if you're outside your home and all of a sudden your fan was to stop spinning, you can be instantly notified from your motherboard to let you know that that's happening. And rounding it out, we've even got a new software package called Home Cloud, which will allow you to mount your C volume in the cloud directly as a personalized volume that you can go ahead and either share files from or go ahead and directly transfer files from. So you can bypass having to upload anything. Essentially, you can just directly work from your volume in the cloud, be able to access your files. So that and definitely a whole lot more is going to be on our series of boards. And like I said, whether you're going to be gaming, content creation, media, productivity, whatever it might be, you're going to have an awesome board to be able to work with.
Excellent. So I really like the integration with smartphones, because people have their smartphones on them all the time, and giving you a better way to connect and transfer information between a desktop system and a smartphone. Always a good thing. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. And this has been a closer look at the Asus Z97 Pro, again with the Wi-Fi and overclocking enabled, and all the features that JJ has just talked about just now. So JJ, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thank you. And
thanks to all you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Newegg TV. There's going to be more videos on the other Asus motherboards that we have here, so go ahead and check out our channel if you want to see those, and we'll see you all next time.